In the early 1900s, Euclid Avenue was known as Millionaires Row for its parade of palatial homes, and Drury's 34-room mansion, completed in 1912, was one of the last great houses built on this famous avenue. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit the subscribe button and let's explore this house. In 1850, Francis Edson Drury was born in rural Michigan, and from a young age, he demonstrated a knack for innovation. In his late teen years, he invented a new type of lawnmower, the first internal gear lawnmower, and brought his invention to Cleveland in 1870 to have it manufactured. The device was produced by the Taylor and Bogus foundry, where Drury quickly rose to become vice president and general manager. In 1888, Drury teamed up with entrepreneur H.P. Crowell to establish the Cleveland Foundry Company, aiming to manufacture oil-fueled stoves for heating and cooking. The venture's big break came when John D. Rockefeller Standard Oil Company agreed to market Drury stoves as a way to boost demand for kerosene, a petroleum product in oversupply. Backed by Standard Oil's vast distribution network, Drury's Perfection oil stoves became a nationwide sensation. Between 1905 and 1915, Drury's company sold some 10 million kerosene stoves, making him a multi-millionaire. By the 1920s, his firm, later renamed the Perfection Stove Company, was the largest manufacturer of its kind in the world. Flush with success, Francis Drury joined the upper echelon of Cleveland society on Euclid Avenue's Millionaires Row, where his neighbors would be the Rockefellers, Everetts, Hannahs, and other influential families. Drury set his sights on building a residence that would be a fitting symbol of his hard-earned prosperity. In 1910, he purchased a choice lot at the corner of Euclid Avenue and East 87th Street and commissioned the local architectural firm Mead & Hamilton to design an extravagant home there. By 1912, the 25,000-square-foot, 34-room mansion was complete, a stately English-inspired manor that immediately took its place among the finest homes on Euclid Avenue's Millionaires Row. The Drury Mansion was an English Renaissance Tudor Revival showpiece built at a cost of about $50,000, a hefty sum in those days. Its red brick facade featured recessed stone arches and tall Elizabethan-style chimneys projecting from an orange slate roof. The design included half-timbered gables and dark wood Tudor detailing around the windows and doors, giving the structure an aristocratic old-world character. Rising above the three-story residence was a large brick tower with crenellated battlements, lending the home a castle-like profile against the sky. In 1915, Architectural Record magazine featured the Drury House, recognizing it as an exemplar of modern manor house design in America. Drury's passion for design extended beyond the walls of the mansion. In 1915, he purchased the 5-acre estate of F.A. Arter directly across Euclid Avenue and transformed the land into an ambitious formal garden he nicknamed the Oasis. Here, Drury indulged his hobby of landscape gardening on a grand scale. The Oasis featured serene reflecting pools and cascading waterfalls, a lily pond dotted with waterflowers, and even a quaint pagoda overlooking the water. We could get lost in the Oasis, so let's head across the street and begin exploring the mansion. We find a massive front door tucked away beyond an archway and set below an intricate entablature flanked by obelisk, one of the very few Egyptian revival themes we'll see play out in the mansion. From the front door, we step into the main hall, clad in rich wood paneling and decorated with some of the finest furnishings of the era, including a few antique pieces sprinkled throughout. Let's start by heading through the archway off to the side of the fireplace. This leads to the grand staircase, with intricately carved newel posts rising above an Italian ceramic tile floor. The low arched hall to the side of the staircase would lead to the servants' wing, but we'll actually turn around and make our way opposite the staircase. Following the Italian tile through a doorway, we find ourselves in the music room, where curiously, there are wall panels broken up by fluted pilasters that run between the windows. This conceals a secret passageway to the organ chamber, where a musician would be hidden out of sight from guests attending parties at the mansion. Swinging open French doors, we continue into the living room, which is the largest room in the house, spanning from the front to the back and capped by massive bay windows at either end. The fireplace in this room is recessed into a pointed niche and contained by an intricately carved wood surround stretching from the floor to the ceiling. Turning around once again, we find ourselves returning to the main hall. Let's head straight forward this time. This brings us to the dining room, where in late 1915, the Drurys hosted a dinner where they met Myrta Jones, who described a new theater group she was organizing. Intrigued, Francis Drury offered the fledgling troupe the use of an old house on his property across the street as a venue. In May 1916, the very first performances of what would become the Cleveland Playhouse were held on Drury's estate. A decade later, Drury went further, donating a portion of his Oasis garden land for the Playhouse to build a permanent theater complex in 1925. In gratitude, the Playhouse named one of its stages the Francis Drury Theater, a tribute to the stove magnate who literally and figuratively set the stage for Cleveland's nascent theater scene. In 1924, Drury and his wife Julia made a dramatic move. They sold the Euclid Avenue mansion and relocated to a new estate called Cedar Hill Farm in the village of Gates Mills. On this 155-acre spread of rolling countryside, Drury had commissioned a near replica of his Euclid mansion, only larger and even more elaborate. The Gates Mills house was about 1.5 times the size of the city home, boasting 41 rooms, 14 fireplaces, and extensive gardens and outbuildings of its own. This sprawling Tudor Revival manor, completed in 1924, became the Drury's new residence and represented the fulfillment of Francis Drury's dream of an idyllic rural retreat. Though, he reportedly only lived here for 1 year, following a fallout from high society, reportedly due to him blocking developments for his own enjoyment at the Cedar Hill farm. He ended up spending his final years in his other homes, including the Hill, where he liked to spend his winters in Georgia. Francis passed away there in 1932 at the age of 81. In his will, he arranged modest lifetime annuities for his son, grandchildren, and even about 20 friends and longtime employees. But he left the bulk of his estate to 5 colleges and various philanthropic endeavors. Cedar Hill Farm went on to become Gilmore Academy, which continues to occupy and maintain the mansion through adaptive reuse. As far as the Drury Mansion, it changed hands a few times, even serving briefly as the Drury Club, which was named in Francis' honor. In 1989, the Cleveland Clinic Foundation purchased the Drury Mansion and undertook a careful restoration and adaptive reuse of the historic property. Renamed Foundation House, the mansion was converted into a conference center and event space for the clinic's philanthropic and educational functions. Today, the Francis Drury Mansion is still standing, one of the very few mansions of Cleveland's Millionaires Row to persevere into the 21st century. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about the Drury Mansion? Let me know down below in the comment section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.